AFA today on AFR Talk. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough about your world that you're still engaging your brain, your efforts, your desires to try to make a difference. Every time that I come to the microphone, I'm always reminded that there's so many people that listen and that there's so many hurts and other things that are going on in people's lives, and what we're for is so important. This is a holy calling, so thank you for being engaged in it. Kevin McCullough is my name. My phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let me just make this announcement, a very special treat for you, either on tomorrow's show or Friday's show. I don't know exactly which yet. But how many of you have heard about the movie Mom's Night Out? I had the opportunity to screen that with just a handful of, people that work in media here in New York last night. And later today, I'm going to sit down with Sean Astin and Sarah Drew, the two main characters in the film. I was really moved by this film, and I don't get moved by quirky little funny comedies very often. I mean, they're good for like blowing off steam, but this one has a real message to it. And the thing I love about it most is maybe the most profound thing said in the movie. Comes from Trace Atkins, sitting on the bench. He plays a character called Bones. And he's a big Harley driving, tattoo parlor running guy. But it was really quite an experiment. So experience. So tomorrow, maybe Friday, I'm not sure which. Sarah Drew, Sean Astin in studio with Kevin McCullough, and this should be a real fun conversation. And let me just add why. Part of the reason that I wanted to talk with them is because I wanted to know if the characters they portray on this film, because it's a very powerful film. Even though, yeah, it's funny, and then sucker punches you right in the gut with a big in your throat. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to them was I wanted to know if the values espoused in the film are really them or if they were just playing roles. And I was pretty blown away by the answer. So I think you're in for a real treat. But they're going to sit down with me later today. We'll have that conversation for you the next couple of days. I hope you'll stick around for that. All right, we're talking about this New Hampshire school board that had a father arrested for saying, don't give my daughter a book that has rough sex between teenagers in it. Now, evidently, the news media in his town and the school board didn't think it was all that big of a deal. In fact, they thought he was a much bigger deal to the degree that they had him arrested for telling them that. And I don't know. I think parents of values, there was a story out yesterday that this kid in Indiana was homeschooled, exceptional kid, great grades, took a bunch of college-level courses his senior year, had this job offer from a major company, energy company in Indiana, and then because they somehow tied into Common Core, and I don't know if like one of the wives of the executives or somebody is like, but they found out this kid wasn't exactly down with Common Core, and then they checked on him and he had been homeschooled, and they said, oh, you didn't even graduate high school. You lied to us. Well, that wasn't true. He'd passed his SAT, scored amazing scores. Brilliant kid. They revoked the job offer. There's this mindset among secular educators that they know more than you. They know what's better for your kids. They know what's more important for your kids to learn. They know what ages they're supposed to learn it at. You listen to them in a room for any length of time talking, and they act like they know your kids better than you do. And maybe we've empowered that. Maybe parents have depended upon educators too much. Maybe we've said, yeah, it's really your job to get this done. But at the end of the day, it's kind of scary. Because if you don't exactly keep in line with what the elites believe, they're ready to blackball you, no matter how smart you are. No matter what you can do, no matter what your skill sets are. Doesn't matter. They're ready to take you down because you're not bowing to the same priorities, worldview, principles, values that they do. 888-589-8840. So let's talk with you about this. Let's go to Rachel in Oklahoma. Hi, Rachel. You're next.
Hi, Kevin. First-time caller, so I'm kind of nervous, but have
Please
a
don't be.
about
I am so glad that you took the opportunity to call. Please feel right at home.
Well, thank you. And just a comment about the school board who approved this book, 19 Minutes. Since we're such a sue-happy culture, I would be one of the very first parents in line suing that school board for exposing my child to what I would consider child pornography. What that board has done is nothing less than what a pedophile does whenever they groom children. They expose our children to this, and they should be held as sex offenders, in my opinion. And it did take that father, took a lot of restraint for him, because if that were my husband, he would have jumped across that table for exposing my children to graphic sex scenes such as this. And this is what happens when you get political correctness combined with comprehensive sex education. They let this stuff go to our children, and it bothers me that they let this and had this in their curriculum since 2007, and this father is the first one to object to this.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding when you think about it, and the fact that the rule is you're supposed to notify them of controversial material, and evidently they don't think it's controversial, or they just forgot to. But it's either negligence or incompetence. But either way, it bodes really poorly for the kids in that school district.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate you. Call back anytime, lady. I like the way you think. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Let's talk to Dennis in Texas. Hi, Dennis. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Thank you. She touched on what my thinking on this is. Kevin, I'm just shocked that there's not lawsuits flying over this kind of thing and over like the sex education, at what grades they're teaching certain sexual acts and things. I'm just surprised that there's not lawsuits flying over like contributing to the delinquency of a minor or, those kinds of, surely there's determined, creative attorneys in conservative circles, Christians, what have you, start getting a little more aggressive and go on the offensive for a change instead of always playing, we're always content or concerned with being on the defense, and they need to be more aggressive about going after this stuff.
It's a good point. I wonder, Dennis, if our side is just really busy trying to pay their taxes and live their lives.
Yeah.
Probably. I think it's so kind of counter to our nature to immediately go, oh, you wronged me, I'm going to sue you.
Uh-huh.
That's how everybody else thinks. We're kind of trained, to forgive other people and to try to work towards reconciliation and to try to help improve situations and to try to reform them. I mean, that's kind of especially faith-based people, there's always that kind of element involved in our worldview, how we think. We're not used to this, pull out the machine gun, we got to go get justice here.
Right.
But maybe that's what it takes.
I think when we, just continually approach it that way, it's like we're giving them the benefit of the doubt as if they have, a certain same set of rules. They play by the same set of rules, or they have a similar set of values. Whereas I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're totally right.
Hey, I had one other thing. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
This was about the girls in Nigeria.
Go ahead.
Well, similar kind of thing. Where's the UN? Aren't they supposed to be like the world's peacekeepers? It's funny how every time there's some sort of a genocide or a mass slaughter of folks, Christians in Africa, they're nowhere to be found. Well, what's the real value of them? I think it's a good time for people to start, giving some thought to what actually is the real purpose of the UN, because it's certainly not to be peacekeepers and, protect those who can't protect themselves.
Well, I know what I would vote for. But, I'm here in New York. I would vote that we kick them out and we turn it into a parking garage because the east side needs several more floors of good, accessible parking.
I agree.
I think our nation would benefit more by turning it into a parking garage than leaving it as it is currently.
Yeah, it might get some income instead of just shucking money and throwing it down the hole.
Well, and this is really bad, and I'm really telling on my city now. Thank you, Dennis, for your call. I'm telling tales outside the family. You're not supposed to do this. If you're in New York, you're not supposed to talk bad about But it's our place, and it's the best city in the world. But it has its issues. The problem is when the UN is in session, all of these Ahmadinejad and all these jokers, they come in here from all over the world. They double park everywhere. They get tickets that they never pay. They block people in. There's all kinds of traffic nightmares, and that's before the president's motorcade gets up here. And then then he comes, and you may as well just like be sick for two or 3 days while they're in session. It would be much better, much better. Just turn that whole thing into a parking lot. Just the world's biggest covered parking facility in the world. Get 60 floors of covered parking. They'd make a little money for the city. You'd suddenly have clear streets. It'd be really awesome. I don't think they're going to take my suggestion, though, unfortunately. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Kathy calling from Virginia. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. Glad you're with us.
Yes. Good afternoon. I wanted to make a comment about Mr. Gifford from New Hampshire.
Yes.
I'd like to say he's a hero. I commend him, and I thank God for fathers like that are willing to stand. And, I feel like my daughter, I have a 14-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing changes in society that it scares me. It's happening so fast. And it does happen in our schools, and we're so closed-minded. We're not engaged. So I commend him. I tell you this, next year I have decided that I will homeschool my daughter. And I'm excited about it because I'm tired of seeing a polluted society try to pollute my children. That I want them to have good morals, and I don't want their spirit to be polluted before there's plenty of that when they graduate it and get it in the world. You got to, while they're young, I think parents need to stand up and be accountable. And so
I think we should keep our children as innocent as long as possible.
Absolutely. I think there's some things that are never meant to be in our children's minds and spirits. And we see what's happening in Nigeria. And, my heart bleeds for them. And I think we have to stand up. Yeah. We've been given so much, and God needs to convict our hearts. We need to give back. Much is required. And I pray for those young women and those families, because it's a cancer. It spreads. God wants us to give into the kingdom. And what's the point of being afraid? Be afraid to get up and stand up for what is right. Where are our leaders? God bless you for your station, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, Kathy, no, I appreciate you. See, that's why
I wanted to also give a big amen to Rachel, one of your earlier speakers.
Yes.
Amen, sister. I think we need to stand up as parents and band together and say no more.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Kathy. Thank you, and please call back. Here's the thing. That's why we got to have focused conversation, because what we do when we put our minds all on something for the time that we discuss it, we begin to do several good things amongst ourselves. One is we understand we're not alone. Kathy's not alone. Rachel's out there. Rachel just heard what Kathy said. She's not alone. We encourage one another. We actually understand that the inmates are not running the asylum. They don't have to, at least. And actually drilling down on how to think more clearly in the midst of all the garbage that's thrown at us. And there's a lot of it, and it's thrown nonstop. Friends, that's what we want to do. We want to obliterate the confusion. We want to amplify the truth. We may not be able to amplify it very much. We may barely be able to crack through the noise that's out there, but by not amplifying, by amplifying it, we're at least letting more people know about it than knew about it before. And then we pursue the clear thinking. Obliterate the confusion, amplify the truth, pursue clear thinking. It's a win-win formula, at least from where I sit. Let's go, Benny in Texas. Hey, Benny, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Hi, Kevin. I appreciate your show.
Thank you.
Quick comment and I'll hang up. I was wondering where the other fathers were at. Are they not checking the material the kids are getting given? And if they all had 2 minutes apiece, they could have lined up 15 or 20 of them, and maybe they could have got their point across.
That is well said. And Benny, I've said this for the longest time. In fact, in 2008, I wrote a book called The Kind of Man Every Man Should Be. If you scour Google and some other places, Yahoo, whatever, Amazon, you might be able to find a copy. In fact, I think there may be some in the American Family Association online store. But the premise of the book is that when we get men behaving properly in society, fulfilling their function and call, the people that reap the greatest reward are women and children. And that's one of the premises of that book, and I've never seen it be disproven. I never have. So thanks again for your encouragement. Thanks for your calls. Friends, I am so grateful that you join us, that you're here, that you're willing to obliterate confusion, amplify truth, pursue clarity. If you want to do that online, the Facebook page is always available. My website is thebenchthinker.com. My email address, kmcradio@gmail.com. And, of course, I'm on Twitter, at KMC Radio. You can join me there as well. Kevin McCullough saying so long for today. AFA today on AFR Talk. Brian Fisher, Focal Point, the Silver Fox, on the on-deck circle, ready to swing for the fences next here on American Family Radio.